I am back for my Wednesday talk. I talk about insulin resistance and how it links into your health issues, and that's my gig every week. So this week I have been talking about oxidative stress, inflammation, and pain, and how all of that relates to insulin resistance. Now, some topics it's this way where insulin resistance and the disorder have this link that's kind of roundabout. And what I mean by roundabout is that it can cause insulin resistance, and insulin resistance can cause it or exacerbate it. These things are those that way. So if you're experiencing pain and inflammation and maybe there's oxidative stress going on in your body, what you need to know is that insulin resistance exacerbates all of those in different ways. So look for the videos I put up this week. I just put one up on oxidative stress. I did one on inflammation yesterday. I did one on pain the other day. I'll be covering fibromyalgia here soon because there are so many people who've got their diagnosis of fibromyalgia that have found relief by doing the system. Because when you become more insulin sensitive, then your pain receptors start to normalize, your inflammation normalizes, and that oxidative stress calms down. So that vicious cycle starts to calm down, and now you find relief from pain. So for me, I have been able to get off of muscle relaxers and two different, like I was on Norco and Hydro for the pain I was in. For those of you guys who don't know, I've had about 20 broken bones across my body. I carry over 130 inches of scars between surgeries and injuries. I've had a really colorful life, we'll just put it that way. But that meant that I was in pain all the time. I couldn't sleep at night. When I was up, it was hard to think because my body was dealing with this pain. So not only did I have the brain fog from insulin resistance, I had this inability to think and function because of the extreme amount of pain I was in. I'm not on any pain medication anymore. I only rarely take Tylenol when like maybe I have a headache that's brought on by sinuses from my allergies, but I don't take any of that stuff anymore. In fact, I'm off of all my medications. So you guys, it's real. Insulin resistance really impacts your health overall, and it really can make a difference in how you function in the world. So normally on my chats on TikTok around here, I'm just kind of roundabout and talking things. Today is the day I like to kind of dive in and show you about insulin resistance a little bit more, that root cause, right? And why it's causing all of this stuff, or what's causing insulin resistance. Now, interestingly enough, there's a couple of videos that I posted this week that explain how some of these other conditions. So when we think about inflammation and oxidative stress, it can actually cause insulin resistance. So we always think about sugar, or most of us think about sugar as being that cause for insulin resistance. And while that's primarily true, because it is a sugar dysregulation, there are some things that can kick that dysregulation off, causing you to end up with insulin resistance. One of those is inflammation. So I find it interesting because I had a text from a lady the other day, and her blood sugars are in the morning a little bit over 100 still. She's been on the system for several months. And she was like, why is this happening? But what she forgets is she just told me how she's been extremely ill, had some things going on, been in and out of the doctor's office for this. Well, that kind of stress in your body can change the way sugars are being utilized and reacting with insulin in your body. So when you're under times of extreme stress, surgeries, injuries, all of this inflammation can cause a difference in how your body metabolizes. I was trying to say buddy, glucose, whatever, all at once. How your body metabolizes glucose, and it can cause a small spike of glucose in those instances. So when I look at somebody whose morning glucose is just over 100, and I know they haven't been eating properly, and I know their body's under stress, and I know they're not getting rest, and I know they're not doing the things that they're supposed to do to manage, then I know that that's probably that accumulation is the cause. So for those of you guys who don't know what insulin resistance is, how about I dive in? We're going to just dive in and show you a little bit about insulin resistance, some of its causes. What I love is when you guys ask me questions, when you chime in and be like, hey, this sounds like me. How do you tell this? What's that? I love answering those questions. So don't feel afraid to chime in. I just have this weird Dang, my throat feels dry today. All right, because I've been talking all morning. I've been on the phone all morning. All right, so I'm going to flip this around. You guys, one of the reasons that insulin resistance is such a problem is because it's linked into almost every disease and disorder that we have today. And this is not the first slide. So when we look at insulin resistance, a few years ago, they said only 12% of us American adults are metabolically healthy. That number is now around 7% of us American adults are metabolically healthy. Only 7%. That means about 93% of us have some kind of metabolic disorder. And that's wide sweeping for our health. Okay. One of the big things I talk about a lot is the heart health, the impact on your heart. So there's a number of ways that insulin resistance causes your blood pressure to go up. In fact, they say that insulin resistance causes about 95% of our blood pressure problems worldwide. Is there any reason why I'm talking about insulin resistance so much? This is part of it, right? So if 95% of blood pressure, high blood pressure is caused by insulin resistance and 80% of cardiovascular diseases are caused by chronic high blood pressure, that's a pretty big link that I want people to start understanding and being able to address. So, insulin resistance really is your body's response. We're eating food that's turning into sugar in our system way too rapidly. So, when we eat and then it hits our bloodstream as sugar, it cues the pancreas to produce this hormone called insulin. So, when that insulin is produced, what it does is it's like a transporter, a tanker truck, taking that glucose. So insulin is the hormone, that's the tanker truck. Glucose is the energy source that it's carrying around. And it's delivering it to every cell in your body because every cell in your body needs energy to operate, right? It needs energy to grow, to regenerate, to do all of its normal functions. So every cell needs insulin. So insulin is really a great hormone to have. But the problem is that our food environment has created the system where our insulin is so out of whack that it's causing us damage now. So what happens when we have high amounts of insulin all the time? A couple of things happen. We go through this phase where our body starts treating insulin like the nosy neighbor or like the thing that you don't want to have knocking on your door all the time. You just stop answering the door because you're like, dude, you're just drama. I don't want you around. And so that's what our body feels like with insulin in some cells. Then there are other cells that are like, woohoo, party time. I want to take up more insulin. You bring it on, bring it on. But then it's overproducing. So you end up with things like skin tags and dark skin discoloration and your inner wall of your blood vessels thickening too much and some of these other things that I talk about a lot. So insulin resistance is causing havoc inside your body. Hey, Dawn. And so then when that's happening and the cells are taking up as much as they can and other cells are saying no more of you, where does the rest of the glucose go? Well, it starts storing in your fat cells. Your fat cells are the energy storehouse of your body. So fat cells aren't bad. We needed them for a long time because most of us were hunter gatherers and we needed to store fat so we could live through the lean times. But we no longer have that in our life, right? We have food all the time. So the genetics we have are we're filling up those fat cells, and now our fat cells get feeling like every other cell in the body, and they're like, whoa, slow your roll. I don't want any more of you. Because if I take on any more, I'm going to explode. At that point, your fat cells start spilling that glucose back out into your bloodstream. Now it's overloaded in your bloodstream. Now your doctor goes, oh, you have diabetes or you have prediabetes. There's something going on here. We need to address this. But it's been happening for a long, long time. I'll get to that. So that's a really good question. I love that question because even type 1 diabetics can become insulin resistant. At the core of this is because of what I said, our food environment. And I'm going to go over that right now. I'm going to show you what I have family members who are type 1 diabetic who utilize this. We have children, we have older people, we have people across the world who are using the system that I use for their type 1 diabetes. And I'm going to get to that in a minute because it's all about controlling the sugars and the foods that we eat. This doesn't mean you have to be some Puritan and not ever have the foods you love again. It just means we have to put back what's been stripped out by the food industry so our bodies can deal with it naturally. Now, if you're injecting insulin, I'm going to say something a little bold. I hope that you're type 1 diabetic injecting insulin, not type 2 diabetic injecting insulin. And if you want to know why I say that, just ask. You're type 2. So are you, all right, all right. So you're type 2. So let's discuss that really quick. Um, Dr. Bickman, one of my favorite guys. I listen to a lot of different doctors who are knowledgeable in this field. There's like all these notes in my book. He talks about insulin resistance a lot. Metabolic health is his specialty. What Dr. Bickman says about doctors giving patients insulin, and please, please, I know this can sound harsh, but I need you to be aware, okay? So if you're type 2 diabetic and your doctor's giving you insulin, what Dr. Bickman very directly says is the doctor is making you fatter quicker, he's making you sicker quicker, and he's killing you quicker. And Dr. Bickman has made a point of going around and educating physicians on this fact. And when he does his education, which is very scientific and clinical that I don't have the mind to get into here, he's had doctors come up to him in tears when they realize that they're causing more damage to their patients. So let's talk about it in some really simplistic terms. If you're type 2 diabetic and you're type 2 diabetic because I just said you have too much insulin in your body, and this goes for those medications that are trying to force your body to produce more insulin. Let's think about that. What are we doing? Why do you think that those things are causing stress on your kidneys and your liver and whatnot? Because you already have too much of something in your body. Now they're either injecting it or forcing your body to produce more of it. Either way, it's not healthy. So if your system is insulin resistant, the best they can do is to give you more of what you're already resistant to, that's causing your blood vessels to thicken up, that's causing you to have skin tags, it's causing you to have migraines, it's causing you to have eating disorders through hunger and cravings, it's causing you to have inflammation and deteriorate your joints and all of that stuff. That's probably not the best route, right? And some doctors are not going to like that I say that because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician. I'm a woman who got really, really sick and found a way to get better and get off of all the medications. And now my life looks better at 60, or I'm 59. I can't wait to be 60 because I'm going to be healthier at 60 than I ever expected to be. But look, that's the goal here. So I want to go back to, we're going to talk about insulin again. I want to talk to you about some of the things that can be a side effect, a downline from, or sideline or upline from the insulin resistance. So there's things like muscle wasting, bone loss, fatty liver, dementia, Alzheimer's, heart disease, stroke, PCOS, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, we all know, erectile dysfunction, and PCOS. Did you know that insulin resistance, Dr. Bickman calls those two disorders, erectile dysfunction and PCOS, metabolic infertility because it stems from this metabolic disorder going on. Now, is it true that you may have a genetic marker that's going to cause that? Yeah, maybe that's true. But maybe if you had a better food environment, that genetic marker wouldn't take over and cause this disorder for you. So let's understand that this all links back to the food that we're eating that's imperfect and that we've got to fix that food industry. It doesn't mean that you can't have the foods you love. It doesn't mean you can't go have pizza or pasta or Mexican or Indian food or whatever. It just means we've got to address what's missing so that we can do that and stay healthy while we're doing it. So all of those things link to insulin resistance, but so do these things. This one is a little tinier, guys. I'm going to try and zoom in. For those of you guys on TikTok, look at neuropsychiatric diseases. I already mentioned Alzheimer's, but peripheral neuropathy, retinopathy, Parkinson's, autism, all of those things link into insulin resistance. I've worked with autistic people. I myself am on the spectrum. I know that my behaviors, my sensitivities are much worse when I have way too much glucose running through my system, and I saw it in the patients I worked with. So endocrine disorders, nephropathy, kidney problems, excuse me. So chronic inflammation, fatty liver, obesity, PCOS, and then these cancers of breast, ovarian, liver, colon, prostate cancers, those all can link back to insulin resistance, as well as all of this stuff, circulatory, skeletal, and inflammatory disorders, which I just talked about inflammation in my video yesterday. I know they're kind of long lately because people have been saying your videos are too short. I don't know, you guys. I gotta find a happy medium. But anyway, all of that stuff links into insulin resistance. This is why I talk about it. Because if most of us knew that we could address one simple thing and probably take care of 90% of what or more of what we're suffering with, would we want to do that? Because a lot of people do. Yeah. So we want to, and grumpy old dude, let's talk about this for a second. There's these, while I'm talking, these are some of the indicators that these are some of the top 5 that Dr. Bickman talks about that would tell you that you have insulin resistance. But there's hope, you guys. Like I have a guy who had stage 3 kidney disease, was getting prepped to go to surgery that he was going to have to go have dialysis. No longer. His kidney function is normal. My liver panels were out of whack, and we were worried about that. Well, though my liver panels are normal, but I ended up having to have my gallbladder removed because of insulin resistance. Ladies who had PCOS are now able to have regular periods and have started the families that they were told they would never have. Men with erectile dysfunction, their testosterone level is in normal range and they've regained their function. So a lot of these things, there's hope. And I'm actually going to be doing a video this afternoon because I have a client who's like thinking about having knee surgery. You guys, out of all the injuries I've had, out of all the stuff I've been through, that knee surgery, the one knee surgery that I had, was the most painful thing I've been through in my life. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So my right knee was, when you looked at the x-rays several years ago, it was uneven. There you could see that there was more meniscus on the outer edge of my knee and less or no in the inside. And that knee popped and clicked and moved and hurt all the time. I couldn't kneel on it. I got to a point where I had trouble squatting. When I was world champion powerlifter, by the way, that was painful. And I just wore really good knee sleeves to try and keep those knees warm and together while I was doing my events. But that knee now that was supposed to get replaced a year ago is no longer needs to be replaced. It doesn't pop. It doesn't click. It's not painful. I'm on the floor doing qigong and stuff. I can get up and down off the floor and play with my kids. Some of these things, the body is amazing and it can regenerate a lot of things. So my knee, of course, I was telling somebody today, there has to be tissue within that capsule, right? In order for it to regenerate the tissue. If it's gone, it's gone. But if you're suffering from some of these things, know that it can get better. I also talked to a lady this morning, and I've still got to get her the video, that is going through a diagnosis of possibly lupus. But lupus is also an inflammatory disease that is related to insulin resistance. And we have success stories of people with lupus who've gotten better. There's one that comes to mind, and we all have stories because there's hundreds and thousands of these stories out there. But this woman several years ago was given about 6 months to live. There's pictures of her in the hospital with her family surrounding her. Her head is bald. She's been run through the ringer. Her sister had found the system and said, look, I want you to try this. What do you got to lose? So she started that, and it's now 5 years later, and she's actually a physical trainer and healthy as hell. So yes, it can help. They're testing for Parkinson's because of tremors. So neurological issues and tremors, I went over neurological issues, was it last week? No, last week was gut. I think neurology was the week before. So you might have to go back through about 20 or so videos. You'll see a bunch of videos on neurological disorders and how insulin resistance contributes to those. So can I tell you that the system that I use, that I addressed my diabetes with, is going to stop Parkinson's? No, I can't. I can't. I have people who've had Meniere's, who've had tremors, who've had other issues, similar neurological disorders, and they've gotten better. So to me, it's worth a shot. It's 2 real food products, 90-day money-back guarantee. If you're having tremors, I have a lady in Texas who's a really dear, sweet friend of mine. She started having tremors. They couldn't explain it. I was just like, and it was just on the beginning of my journey, but I was like, this tea that I drink in the morning, it has a lot of neurological properties to it. Let's try it. So I brought her in the house. We mixed up a tea. She started drinking it. Within 5 minutes, her tremors were almost non-existent just from drinking the tea, because it causes some better uptake of things like serotonin and whatnot in your brain. It also helps you start to be more insulin sensitive in the brain. Because the other interesting thing with inflammation that I just learned this year is that when our cells are inflamed, they kind of puff up. So now it's not just the insulin receptors, it's your other hormones. Think of even like your sex hormones, your thyroid hormones, your leptin, your ghrelin, those little receptors that were sticking out like this, that are grabbing onto those hormones. Your cells are inflamed, and now those poor receptors are just covered up by all this inflammation, and they can't take on the hormones. So it starts with insulin resistance, and then it can lead into all of these other dysfunctions. So there's one interesting thing that I read about, like thyroid. I'm going down a path right now, right? So if some people are going, I have thyroid symptoms, but they say that my thyroid hormones are normal. Well, guess what? If you have normal thyroid hormones, but you still feel like you're having those symptoms, it could be that your receptors aren't taking it up, or that there's not delivery of the hormone to the receptors. And if you have a ton of inflammation in your body, that's going to affect more than just your insulin receptors. So that's why, like, this whole week it's not probably been the most popular on my social media, but it's really impactful to me, because I'm like, if people understood how, if we can get the insulin resistance down and reduce all of this nerve damage and inflammation and oxidative stress in their bodies, how all of these other things start to get better, and you start to feel better, and life just looks different. So it all starts with insulin resistance. Now, grumpy old man, I haven't forgotten you. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to not slow it down. I'm going to speed it up. We're going to talk about the system I use. I'm going to show you guys all of that and kind of that why. Then we can go back to talking about all this stuff and why I love this program, the system, this whole topic of insulin resistance. So let's go. So I'm going to go back to this slide that's been up over here. You guys are amazing for putting up with me. All right, 5 ways you can tell if you're insulin resistant without a blood test. If you have hypertension, remember I said 95% of people with hypertension have high blood pressure have insulin resistance. So that's number 1. If you have skin tags, if you have dark skin patches on your elbows, neck, knees, under your arms, and your groin, that's an indication. If you have PCOS or erectile dysfunction, those are both indications that you are insulin resistant, and you should start looking at ways to address it. So then some other ways that you can tell are going to be things like, if you have this bulging belly, this belly that's sticking out, whether you're thin or heavy, and that it makes you just feel like you're pregnant, that's a sign of insulin resistance. I haven't done a visceral fat video for a while, so maybe I should do one tomorrow. But high triglycerides and low HDL, those are signs. If you're retaining water, remember we were talking about inflammation. If you're retaining water, you have edema, neuropathy, those are signs of insulin resistance. If you're constantly hungry, especially after you eat, if your body temperature is dropping, or you're feeling tired after you eat, that's a blood sugar dysregulation linked to insulin. It's a good indication that you have some insulin resistance or insulin problems going on. Chronic fatigue, headaches, body aches, migraines, all of that is linked to insulin resistance. Mind blowing, right? To me, it was. When I started learning this, I'm like, what the heck? Why did nobody ever address this with me? So look, the solution for most people has been, when we talk about regulating glucose and sugar and all this stuff, right? Everybody's like, oh, ditch all the sugar, don't do sugar. And I agree. Sugar's not good for you, but do I like sweet things? Yes. So the solutions have been things like calorie counting, meal replacements, keto, weight loss clinics, intermittent fasting, box meals, diet pills, all this stuff. And you just feel like you're inundated with all these things, and you're like, help, I don't know what to do. Because most of them work for some time, but then it gets too hard. You fall off, you get sick again, you gain weight again, you have all these symptoms again, and now you're like, this just nothing works for me. And that's how most of us feel. We're just frustrated and tired, and that's the way it is. But look, The part that's wrong with most of those, or that's happening with most of those, is they're requiring you to rely on willpower. Well, how do we have willpower when every bit of food around us is imperfect and causing us to be sick? If we had a school that had 100 students and 95 or 93 of those students were failing, would you go to those students and say, hey, it's your problem, you're not paying attention, you're not doing something right? Or would you go maybe to the educators and be like, what's going on? Why are 93% of these children failing? Because that's what's happening to us. 93% of us are failing metabolically, and it's not our fault. Like, yeah, most of us could eat better. Yeah, most of us could make a better impact on our food choices and that. But really, even if you go down the organic food aisles, you're going to find that the food looks different than it ever did before. But even beyond that, when we're stressed and we're busy and our lives are crazy, like, I get it. I would love to meal prep or have someone meal prep for me all the time, but I don't. And I'm going to tell you, I end up doing some of this at some point during the week, especially when my grandson is here. He loves some foods that's probably, I'm trying to get him away from that because I want to take care of him too. But we all end up eating some of that stuff, right? So what if you could do that once in a while and still not feel guilty about your health because you know that you're putting back what's been stripped and you're taking care of it? But like I said, when we look at the organic foods, we're still having a problem. This is the top left is what carrots used to look like. The bottom left is what they look like now. And you guys can Google it. Just Google what our foods used to look like. You're going to see a ton of examples of how our food used to be really dense, crunchy. It was maybe sometimes sweet, but it was not the sweet we have now. It wasn't the juiciness that we have now. Look at the difference between watermelon and what we have now, and corn that was more like a grain and what we have now. Watermelon, I call sugar in a water in a shell because they've stripped the fibers, they've stripped the seeds, they've stripped all of the stuff to give you this really juicy, plump, sweet center that everybody's striving for or asking for, right? So the food industry is really just delivered on what we've asked for them. We can't, I mean, is it kind of, in my mind, I'm going to say this, an evil plot? I don't know. They're doing good business. They're giving us what we asked for. So look, even when we look at our grains, they've stripped off all of this stuff. Um, Fibers, nutrients, phytonutrients, enzymes, proteins, all of that. And what we end up with is the starchy middle that's high in sugar, converts to blood glucose way too quickly. And then we wonder why we're getting sick. Okay. So what do? Well, we've got to put back some of the fiber and the nutrients that are missing. And we've got to start taking a look at how we're ending up here in the first place. So the 6 simple principles that I have, and you guys, if you go to my link tree, which is kind of scrolling across the bottom here, or go to my profile on TikTok. The ebook is there. These 6 principles are in an ebook for you that is digitally delivered, right? That's why it's called an ebook. So 6 simple principles: fiber first, prioritize protein, fill with fats, control carbs, watch the clock, and move your body. And in the oxidative stress video I did today, I talked about exercise and how important it is in keeping your cells open and insulin sensitive, utilizing some of that energy that we're eating. And exercise doesn't have to be, oh, I'm out, doing kickboxing, or I'm out doing some crazy intense cardio. No, just get off your butt and take a walk. Turn on some music and dance in the house. I do some qigong, when I feel like, okay, Thursdays are my busiest day. So I'll take 10 minutes and go do some qigong in my living room. Done. Okay. I'm going to take a walk in a little bit, but just move your body. It doesn't have to mean something crazy, but the more you can move your body, the more you're going to be receptive to the insulin that's trying to deliver the energy that you need in your body. So anyway, those 6 things are in an ebook that I prepared for you guys so you can have it. I give you a list of good proteins. I give you a list of good fats. So all of that's in there. I don't do face-to-face coaching, but the people who purchase the system from me, which we're about to go over, have access to me. That's why my throat's a little dry. I've been on the phone all morning coaching all of my customers. And just, one of them, I hate to admit, we had about an hour-long conversation because people are people and we're all real people. So I do coaching in that way where if you're utilizing the system, you get that for free from me. you get the coaching, and we're going to go over that right now. You're in Idaho? Okay. I grew up in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. I spent it's been about 2 years ago I left Boise. I was there for about 10 years, and then I still have family up in the northern part of Idaho, eastern part of Washington area. So that's kind of amazing. Where in Idaho are you at? All right. So thank you. Um, so this is it, you guys. The system I've been talking about is simply a tea I drink in the morning and a pre-meal drink that I drink before I eat anything, and they replace what's been stripped out of out of our system so that we can get back to being healthy, right? So we do it with some intermittent fasting, that time-based eating. I want to go over this really quick so this makes sense to you. You guys, look, my life looks like this. I had my break fast or my breakfast about noon. It was eggs, some sausage, a couple of slices of brie, really focusing on protein and some fats, right? So that was my break fast. I'm not sure what I'm going to have for dinner. I think I have like some sage chicken and sweet potato mash in there that I'll probably have for dinner, and maybe a roll or something, because I do like carbs, you guys. All right, so after about 5 or 6 p.m. I won't eat again. That starts my fasting window. So my fasting window really starts about 7 to 8 p.m. The blood sugar will normalize around midnight. Is that crazy? It takes that long for our blood sugars to normalize. You are so welcome. I absolutely love helping people. So then it takes another couple hours for our insulin levels to drop. Now, I haven't talked about that yet, but insulin and glucagon are component hormones. So insulin has to be down for glucagon to be able to do its job. If you want to know why I'm not a fan of those GLP-1 agonist drugs like Ozempic and Trulicity and Mounjaro and all of that, say why in the comments, and I'll explain that to you. Butter is a good fat, Pancho. Butter is a good fat. So I'll stop really quick. No, let me finish this fasting thing. Then I'm going to tell you, if you guys want to know what fats I recommend, I will tell you that. But glucagon has to come out for you to be able to burn fat. Then about 6 a.m., your digestive system resets. So look, at 6 a.m., when our digestive system is just reset, insulin is finally to sleep, we can finally do some fat burning and start to do this metabolic switching where we're not running on insulin all the time. What do? We wake up and we eat. What are we eating? Cereal, oatmeal, fruit juice, pancakes, French toast, all of that stuff. Well, guess what? There goes your insulin level right back up just when you got it down and glucagon able to go out and do its job. So now you've just immediately smashed your metabolism right back down, and you got to start all over. So now we wait until about noon to give our bodies that additional 4 hours to be in this metabolically flexible state where glucagon can do its job. And glucagon, by the way, when glucagon is out, it's not just fat. It's starting to remove some cells and whatnot that we just don't need, especially when we get into autophagy, which is a whole other subject. But now we're having this place where our insulin can come down, our blood glucose can normalize, our body goes, hey, we're not living on insulin all the time, and insulin's not the bully in the playground anymore. We can actually do some things, like get rid of the fat out of your liver, get rid of the fat from around all your organs that's building up under your muscle wall, get rid of some of that jiggly fat that's going on. By the way, your fat in your tongue is visceral fat, and it contributes to why you have sleep apnea. It starts with insulin resistance to build up that, so that's crazy. I'll be doing a video on that soon. But look, so we're just utilizing this tea in the morning to start to stave off the hunger and whatnot. I'm going to go over that in depth here in just a second. But that's why we do intermittent fasting, is to help that. So it drives me crazy. I just, I have an old grandma soul, and I grew up in a spanking time. Sorry for those of you who do not like that, and I'm saying this very lightheartedly. Sometimes when I hear people talking about you should eat every 2 hours to keep your metabolism high, I just want to give some little booty swats, because that's so damaging. Old grumpy guy, reach out. I'm going to show you real quick. if you want to just tap on my profile picture, that's going to take you to this page where, sorry you guys over on, it's going to take you to my profile. So if you click on the link, old grumpy guy right there, right below the red lights, it'll take you to my landing page, and all the information you need, including the free ebook, will be there. I have a full website, a number of information there. Just go check all of that out. And there is a way to get a hold of me there as well. So text me, ask me. You guys, I don't expect anybody to just hop on the system. If you have questions, you want to ask me, and you want to, know how does this affect you, I'm more than happy to answer those questions. Let's do it. I just want you to understand that there's a better way to get healthy, and you don't have to suffer with all this stuff. So, are you type 1 or type 2 diabetic? Because I just went over, good. We'll talk to you soon, old grumpy dude. So if you're type 2 diabetic and you're on insulin, I'll revisit that, but I'm going to have to ask why. If you're already having a problem with insulin, why would you be adding more to your day? Apple cider vinegar I can agree with, but it doesn't do the whole job. So this is what my day looks like. I start the morning, I have the tea. I'm going to go over why the tea works so well. I just wait till about lunch. I have the pre-meal drink 10 minutes before I eat. I wait 4 to 6 hours, have my second meal. If I get hungry in between, I can just add another tea. It's real food. It's nothing that's stopping you from being able to have more than 1 tea a day. In fact, some days I have 3 or 4, depending on what's going on. Put me in a seminar, and as interested as I may be, it's hard for me to listen. That tea goes through a 5-step patented process. Number 1, we ethically harvest it. Then we take it to a fire roasting process so that the molecules, the components that we need out of that tea that are giving you the health benefits I talk about, can be extracted. Then they're concentrated. Then they're sent to a lab to be put through this process called hyperpure to get rid of environmental toxins, pesticides, all of that out of the tea. So the tea helps you feel great all day. You can have it any time. There's no crashes, it's non-addictive. I'm going to be talking about these adaptogens in a minute. They attach to the molecule of the caffeine, and that's why this caffeine acts differently. So we're going to go over that in a second. But it suppresses your hunger and cravings by allowing you to use your stored fat for fuel. You're full, you're not hungry, you have tons of energy, and it's the best energy you've ever felt. When I started this, I was like, what is this? Okay, it boosts your mood. It gives you mental and physical performance. It can boost mental and physical performance, especially by 10 to 13%. When I was an athlete, I wish I would have known about this, because I can't imagine it improving my endurance and strength by 10 to 13%. That would be huge on my total numbers. Okay, so it promotes healthy digestion. It does have prebiotics in it. The fiber does. But it promotes healthy digestion. It's high quality, and it's purified to be free from contaminants. I'm trying to talk too fast, and I'm getting my tongue confused with my brain. All right, so it has neuroprotective gene expression. It also has antioxidant effect in the brain. So when I did that video about oxidative stress today, this tea actually helps with that. Then it promotes feelings of well-being. It supports healthy blood pressure and glucose levels, and it promotes weight loss. By the way, the component of chlorogenic acid that I'm talking about right now, there's 375 times more of this chlorogenic acid in this tea than any standard yerba mate tea. So if you think about that, you'd have to steep about 375 bags of yerba mate tea to get what you're getting in this one little packet of Unimate, and then you're still getting all the toxins and stuff that I just said we purify out. So I don't want to steep or even deal with steeping that many bags of tea. Plus, it would cost me way more anyway. So then there's theobromine in this, and that's best known as the mood-boosting molecule found in high-quality chocolate. It supports healthy blood pressure and cholesterol levels, promotes a feeling of calm, reduces mental fatigue, and improves focus. And it has 3 times as much theobromine in it as the highest quality dark chocolate. You guys, I just sat and listened to Dr. Lee, I think it was. There's Dr. Lee and there's another doctor, because it's interesting. He used to be from Idaho too. His name is not coming to me right now. They were both talking about how high quality dark chocolate is really good for weight loss and oxidative stress. It's in the tea, okay? 3 times as much. Type 2. Yeah. I'm going to come back to the insulin and why I'm not a big fan of that. And that's based on research from a metabolic scientist, not just my personal opinion. So then in the third component in the Unimate that I love to talk about, I went right by it, didn't I? Is mate saponins. So you guys hear about reishi teas and whatnot. It's these triterpenoid saponins that they're trying to get to you. There are some in this Unimate tea. They're suggested to have human health benefits, including lowering serum cholesterol and providing more antioxidant and anti-cancer activity in our bodies and our brains. So it's got a class. This class of molecules are in the mate saponins are unique to this plant. They do support healthy triglycerides and the body's ability to burn fat. Wow, I need a drink. So look, you can have it any time of day. I have it morning, noon, night, whenever I want. It's my favorite drink. Usually this is Unimate and this is water. So I'm usually double-fisted drinking because I go back and forth between the two. But you can have it before tests, presentations. It's going to help you be more spot on. Drink it in the morning to support your fast. But you can have it anytime you need to combat brain fog and just have more energy. You can add some things to it. Now, during your fasting windows, you want to be careful. You can add in some stevia. You can add in cinnamon. You can do that. It tastes great with our vanilla protein, but I would wait till the eating hours to add the protein in, okay? So that's just one component of the system and why this is working more naturally. The balance is the second component. That's the one that I drink 10 minutes before I eat anything, before I dive into the balance. By the way, you can have the tea hot or cold. Hot or cold. The balance, you're going to only drink it cold, and you want to drink it right away. You want to drink it 10 minutes before you eat. It has 4 proprietary blends in it. They're scientifically based, clinically proven, and what they're doing is helping with these glucose spikes. So without the balance, what happens is we're eating these foods that are turning into glucose really quickly in our system, and it's spiking the glucose. The insulin has to come up to match that level of glucose, right? And then the insulin is staying high, but it's driven your blood sugars low. And so that's why you're feeling this crash and this fatigue and this hunger even after you just ate. Not in the beginning, Crafty. I'm going to get to that. Let me get through this part and I'll tell you about, I've made a few adjustments, but not many. I still follow the same suggestions with my gallbladder. I'm just more conscious about seed oils and sugars. Okay. Otherwise, I eat the same. I'll tell you, there are some foods that I just can't have because it will cause me pain. But all right, so that's what's happening with the glucose. So the balance is helping you lower that glucose so it doesn't ever spike as high. So this is another graphic to explain that. When we don't have those fibrous foods in before we eat, our glucose is continually spiking, driving our insulin up. And the higher our insulin goes up, the longer it takes to come down. Now we're in this state of our insulin being chronically risen all the time. What the balance is helping with is it's helping reduce that glucose spike so the insulin never has to go up as high, can come down more normally, and you can get into your fasted state where your glucagon can come out much quicker. And this is all natural. It's not happening because a medication is forcing, some other part of your body to do something that it's already taxed and tired of doing. So the first blend in this is Biosphere Fiber proprietary formula. You guys, my mouth is not cooperating today. It's a unique blend that includes 5 different sources of fiber, and those fibers help support cholesterol levels and slow the conversion of high glycemic carbohydrates so that you're not having those carb spikes or those glucose spikes, okay? So then the next one is 7X technology. That's a specialized blend of plant-derived polysaccharides known as viscous fibers. They form this thick gel matrix in your gut, so it helps you feel fuller or more satiated. It helps slow down the delivery of those foods into your system, so you're staying fuller longer, you get fuller quicker, and now you're slowing down the delivery of those sugars and fats into your system, so everything is running much smoother. And this is part of what's been stripped out of our diet that is making us sick in the first place. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to not not ignore all your questions, but I want to get through this so we can get back to the stuff, right? So the cardio matrix that's in this, the third piece of this, is a blend of plant extracts and phytosterols that supports the body's cholesterol absorption process, making it heart healthy. The two products together is a reason why my blood pressure went from 180 over 150 down to, what did I took a picture of it this morning. It was like 117 over 74 this morning. No medications. 20 years, doctors tried to get my blood pressure under control and they couldn't. This product did it and got me off of all medications, okay? And I've not had a day where my blood pressure is 180 over 150 again. But then there's the fourth thing. Our scientists said there's specific vitamins and minerals that can help support the metabolism and help all these other actions. So they went out, they figured out what all of that was in the blends that makes it the most bioavailable and supports this process, and they add it to this balance. So now you have a complete panel that's very scientifically based to help you with this blood glucose regulation. Now, we have studies with things like Johns Hopkins, Cleveland Clinic, University of Sydney. So think heart health, think glycemic index, those hospitals we have studies with, American Diabetes Association, American Heart Association. So it's highly studied. It's not like, oh, we're hopping on the bandwagon and we're grabbing some information that says this can help that, and so we're going to brand it as that. No, there's actual science. We have our own science facilities that tell us, that give us these products. Okay, so I'm excited to get back to you guys' questions. First, I want to deal with the fat question, Pancho, if you're still here. It's the fats I recommend are butter and ghee, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil. Now, the avocado oil and the extra virgin olive oil need to be in a dark bottle. If they're in a light bottle, they're likely just a seed oil with enough of one of those components in it for it to be labeled that way. Make sure it's in a dark bottle, otherwise it will go rancid. Okay. So, and what the down low on those seed oils is they were developed as machine oils. There's a reason they can put them in a fryer in a restaurant and have it be fried over and over and over again and not break down, because it was developed out of the waste products of food to create a machine oil. And they said, yeah, but this is made out of food. We could market this as a food and get people to eat it. And we're going to drench it in hexane, a very toxic solvent, to get that oil out of it. But we're gonna package it up and sell it as food. That's going to make us money. And that's what's happening when you eat seed oils. So I don't allow them in my house. My kids know not to have them in their house or I throw a fit. Okay. So that's the oil and the fats part. I do, like I love brie. I know it's a weird taste, but I love brie. That's my big indulgence, right? But now the question about, there's a couple of questions. I'll get back to the insulin one. Since I don't have a gallbladder, yeah, if I have something that, like if I go out to eat and they cook in those seed oils, like I can't have onion rings or French fries or some of that stuff anymore because it goes right through me, or it makes me bloated and inflamed, and I don't want the inflammation because that's causing more insulin resistance, right? Extremely acidic foods like tomatoes and stuff are rough, so I have to limit those. But the rest of it, I still eat high proteins. I still eat those fats that I talk about. Now, when I'm eating things like butter, ghee, the oils that I named, coconut oil, olive oil, I primarily cook in butter. I don't have those pain problems and the urgency problems. So it's mostly, I've been logging, it's the seed oils that are causing that. If I get a hold of them, by eating out, or now I'm getting so much that I'm checking all the packaging for what I eat, and I'm surprised at how much. Even there's a beautiful grocery store up the hill from me. I'm in Maryland. It's called Wegmans. I love it. And generally it's healthy. They have food that they've prepared there, and then I'm reading the labels and I'm like, they put canola oil in this. This is supposed to be healthy, and they're putting canola oil in it. You guys, canola is a modified plant. It wasn't a natural plant. It was a lab created plant that they're now deriving an oil from, and then they're feeding it to you under all the same things I just said. So we're going to get some of it. I just limit how much of that I get in and try to avoid getting it at all because it causes inflammation in the body. And then we have that whole problem. Then, okay, so back to the insulin and the type 2 diabetic. Like even I don't do the apple cider vinegar very often. You guys, I have to have a list of like I think it's right here. No, there's a list. Anyway, underneath this list is another list. I have it on my fridge. I have it because I have ADD. I forget stuff if it's not in front of me. Apple cider vinegar is not on that because like I only have so much time in the day. But apple cider vinegar I do like. I just don't feel like it does enough for this particular issue for the things that I'm talking about. Um, for the for yeah, it's so these two products I use. My dad talked about apple cider vinegar. We tried that when I was younger. I never had the results. This is what I do. Will I do apple cider vinegar alongside of it? Yes, I will, but I don't do it regularly. This I do every day. And that's it. It's two simple products that are science-based that um, I just mix this in water in the morning for a tea, which is I'm having my second one now, or this before I eat. Now I've had one meal. It's about 4. I'm gonna probably have my second meal, go for a walk, and then I have another meeting to be on here in a little bit. But that's it. That's my day. I'm not like right now, I'm full. I'm only going to eat in about an hour because I know I have a meeting that's going to take me till late in the night and I don't want to eat late. Um, but I'm not hungry. I don't need to snack. I'm not like none of that's going on. I've lost 50 pounds. I've reversed my hypertension, my hyperlipidemia, all of that stuff just by doing this system. Do you guys have any other questions for me? Anything that you need me to address? Because otherwise, I'm going to probably hop off and I'll show you one more time over on Facebook, TikTok. There's a ticker going across the bottom with my website and the Linktree link there. You can get to the order page from there easily, no matter what. Sorry about that. I'm an affirmation nut, so I do an affirmation for myself every hour. That was the cue that my hour's about up. Um, so over here on TikTok, you guys, if you want to order, if you want to look up any of the stuff that I have going on, you're just going to click, tap on my picture up here. It'll bring up another box. Tap again. That's going to get you to um, my profile. I always talk about below the red lights. So I hope you can see the red lights right here. If you click below that, this link, that's going to take you to my landing page. You'll know because it's all sunshine and daisies. Sunflowers. I like bright stuff. So the order page is there. I didn't go over that yet. Let's do that real quick. If you click on this button, a couple of things I want you to know. You're so welcome. It should say Michelle Fayon at the top. That's how you're going to know that you're connected to me, so that I can coach you, so that I can help you, so that you can text me, you can call me and have these amazing chats when I'm not on other phone calls and stuff. My customers all get that opportunity. Some want to talk to me, some don't want to be bothered. It's up to you. But I'm here to help you. Whatever the question is, if I don't know, I'll try to find it. I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose. I can, take a look at, what I think you may need, like if you're not getting enough protein, or maybe you're getting a little too many carbs, or any of that stuff. I can go over that. I can explain the things I know to you. Again, let's be clear. I'm not a doctor. I cannot prescribe anything, but I can tell you about all the success that I've had, that a number of other people have. And so that's that. You're just going to click on the buy now. You guys, I get so excited about the system because it's changing lives. All right, so this is the system. It's going to look like this. You have a tea in the morning, so it's a box of 30. Let me see if it will let me share over here. A window. So, all right, let's get back to this. So you get 30 of the tea in the morning, you get 60 of the pre-meal drink, and that's how it comes to you. So that's a 30-day supply. You can choose on the tea, you can choose between lemon or lemon ginger. Okay, those are the two flavors. I would honestly start with lemon unless you really are a fan of ginger. I love them both, but lemon's definitely my favorite. And then you get to choose between pink lemonade and orange for the balance. So the next choice you're going to make, and by the way, it says limited edition. They only have the pink lemonade available for a short time, so get it while you can. Hopefully there will be another flavor coming out soon. They're going to cycle through some of those just as, uh, you know, change it up. They're not bitter. They're not citrusy. They're very mild flavored. Um, so if you buy it for a one-time purchase, you're going to pay $159, which is just over $5 a day. If you do it on subscription, they reduce that by $5, but then they also don't charge you shipping. So now that's about a $15 saving. And then you can cancel that at any time. Plus, they send you out an email about 5 days before your next month comes out. So you're never blindsided by it. And that's it. You place your order. Now, why do I go over this all the time? Well, number one, if you want me to help you, that's how I know how to help you, how to text you, how to email you, how to get a hold of you and take care of you. But also, if you go on eBay, Walmart, any of those, there are no authorized sellers there. You're not getting the 90-day money-back guarantee, which there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. You're not getting the quality guarantee. You're not getting the coaching. You're not getting the best price guarantee. And there's not been anyone that I found that bought on any of those platforms that did not pay $80 to $100 a month more than they're paying by ordering from an authorized distributor. So that's the gig. I'm going to go get ready for dinner and my next meeting. And you can still drink coffee. Okay, I didn't see these questions. I'm going to stop and answer them for you. You can still have coffee, just don't add sugary sweeteners or the artificial creamers. A lot of the artificial creamers are actually made with those seed oils that I talk about that can cause inflammation, and they have too many carbohydrates. So look for something that's low carb, not got those oils in it, and then, I mean, probably the best thing is whole cream, just a tablespoon of that if you need it, or stevia as a sweetener. You can drink your coffee, but just don't add anything that's going to add a ton of carbs. Now, a good lunch to eat, it depends, hon. What I would say is depends on what you like to eat. I'm a big chicken fan. I don't eat a lot of red meat. There was a time that I was so allergic to stuff that I couldn't eat red meat because it would actually cause a reaction in my esophagus that would lock up on the red meat and have me choking and not able to even swallow my own saliva. Gross, but that's how it is. So I just have not eaten a lot of red meat. I eat chicken. Last night I had salmon with caper butter and some navy beans because they're good for your leptin levels and this blocking amylase, another thing that's breaking down sugar too quickly in your system, whole other topic. But for me, it depends. Some days I do have like a ham, I'll have a ham sandwich. I buy no nitrate ham. And then maybe some raspberries or something on the side. Uh, I don't eat a lot of burgers anymore. But as far as chicken goes, I fix whatever I want. I just prioritize protein, so I make sure that I have a good portion of protein. I made some bacon the other day, so I've been having um, probably double, triple meat BLTs, and those have been amazing. So yeah, there's some bread on that, right? But I just don't do it to excess. I just have my tools that I use beforehand, and then I eat those kind of things. So BLT, ham sandwich I've had, I like those warmed up. But I've also had, like today, I had 2 eggs, a couple of sausage patties, and some brie. I eat pretty simply because it's just me, so and I'm busy. Um, Man, though I've had pizza, although I have to be careful of that with the gallbladder. Um, it really just depends on what you like to eat. There's times when I'm really hungry for salads, and so I'll have a good salad but I put a lot of protein on it. I'm not a big salad eater. So it just depends on what you like. What do you like to eat? Just prioritize protein, eat healthy fats, limit your carbs. Okay, so if you're having bread and stuff, pay attention to any of the other carbs you're having. Don't make it tipped upside down where you're having this big bowl of pasta with no protein on it. Okay, that's going to cause a problem. All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to head out. I appreciate you all spending time with me today, and we'll talk to you soon. I'm here every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. I try to hop on as much as I can in between, but that's the one time I'll be here at the same time every week, okay? And if you have questions, just use one of the links, message me. More than happy to answer for you what I can. And you know, if you choose not to do the system, please at least download the ebook so that you have some direction to go in. Perfect. You guys have a great day. Thank you. Thank you, guys.